Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is December 10th, 2024, and today we're going to be discussing Hansi Flick's pre-match press conference. More specifically, what he said about the team's form, and also what he said about Frankie de Jong. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Now begin this video by discussing Hansi Flick's pre-match press conference ahead of tomorrow's match in the Champions League against Dortmund, which will be played in Dortmund, Germany. And the first question that Hansi Flick was asked was, what's it gonna be like to play Dortmund in their stadium? Which, as we know, it's a complicated stadium. And this is what the German coach had to say. We are going to play in a fantastic and very complicated stadium with an incredible atmosphere. It's wonderful. The fans push a lot. It's something we have to take advantage of as it gives us extra motivation. Against Bayern, Madrid, it's something we've seen. We have shown the quality we have. It's normal that we fail in some parts of the season, but I trust my team blindly. They give absolutely everything. So Hansi Flick actually getting motivated to play in a complicated stadium. Of course, Dortmund have a very tough stadium given their fans, or what's known as the yellow wall. And Flick saying, that actually gives the team more motivation. And not only that, but he's confident that the team will be able to succeed because they've already been able to succeed against Madrid in their stadium and against Bayern Munich, which even though it was in Barca Stadium, it was still a tough opponent in the Champions League. Now, of course, Hansi Flick has plenty of experience playing against Dortmund in the German league, so hopefully that will play in our favor because, again, tough opponent in a very difficult stadium, but hopefully Barcelona will emerge victorious. Now, Hansi Flick was, of course, asked about the team's form, given that Barcelona have had a series of bad matches, and this is what the Barcelona coach had to say. Sometimes we have more of a slump, but in the end, it all depends on how the season ends. We are convinced we have to play the way we want to play, and that's how we will continue to improve. We are very clear about that. We are a very young team, and that's normal. We have lost 2 points that have hurt us a lot, but we have to learn from our mistakes. We're very united, and we're playing for 3 very important points. So Hansi Flick saying, that the team is going through a slump, but that he believes in the team and in the players that they'll be able to come out of this slump and, of course, continue succeeding. And how can the team succeed? Well, playing the way that Hansi Flick envisions this team playing, which is exactly how the team was playing at the beginning of the season. And now, of course, brought us many positive results. So in order to continue succeeding, in order to get out of this slump, the team is going to have to go back to doing what they were doing before because we know it works. We've seen it work time and time again. And then Flick once again bringing up the whole thing about the team being young, which, as I said in yesterday's video, I kind of disagree with Flick. I don't think that's the problem because after all, the ones making the mistakes are not the young players. It's the veterans. Koundé, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Frenkie. Those are the players who have been making mistakes, not so much the young players like Lamine, Kouarsi, etc. But again, that's Flick's assessment of the situation. Who am I to say otherwise? Now, Flick was asked, whether his high press imposes a greater challenge mentally and physically on the player. And this is what the German coach had to say. It's a little bit of everything. And it has to do with the context. As a team, you have a philosophy, and it's important that everyone participates in it. There's a lot of intensity in our games. Now, I think this was a little bit of a stupid question, saying is playing with the high press means, it's more intense mentally on the players or more challenging mentally and physically. Look, every team has its own style, and every style has its challenges both mentally and physically. After all, this is elite sports. This is top flight football. Whatever style you play, whether it's a defensive style where you park the bus, where if it's a high press style, where if it's a hybrid, they all require lots of mental and physical demands and lots of mental and physical intensity. So this was just, I think, a stupid question. Sometimes I think these reporters at these press conferences are just there to kind of like tick a box like, yeah, I asked my question, so now I get to go home. Now, following question for Hansi Flick was, whether playing against Dortmund would be kind of a parameter to judge where does Barcelona stand in Europe. And this is what the German coach had to say. We have played a lot of games where we showed our worth. Bayern, Madrid, we have shown we are ready to face big challenges and big games. It's going to be a complicated game, but we can overcome it. This is another level and it motivates us a bit more. We want to take a step forward. Now again, another stupid question to Hansi Flick, asking him, is the Dortmund match going to be the parameter to see where Barcelona stands in Europe? As if Barcelona have been playing the Champions League against a bunch of, fourth division teams from the Serbian league or something. Like, we've already faced some pretty big competition like Bayern Munich, like Real Madrid. So no, this is not going to be the first parameter to judge where Barcelona stands in Europe. And that's exactly what Hansi Flick said. Now, Flick was asked about individual players, starting with, of course, Ronald Araujo, who is set to come back from injury. And this is what Flick had to say. We'll see tomorrow if he plays. It's a joy that he's back. He has a lot of strength and motivates his teammates a lot. Also, the coach. I like his winning attitude. The plan is for him to play, but I can't say how much yet. Now, of course, Ronald Araujo has traveled with the team to Dortmund, and Flick saying, he might get some minutes tomorrow. We'll see how much, and we see if he gets any minutes at all. But Flick says, he's ready, and he's, of course, very happy to have Ronald Araujo back. And I have to say, I'm very happy too, because Araujo has always been not only a solid defender, but also has been a leader on and off the field. And again, Cubarsí and Inigo need someone to rotate with. So very happy with this news that Araujo is back from injury. Now, Hansi Flick was, of course, asked about Frankie de Jong and the fact that Dortmund's coach had some praise for the Dutch midfielder. And this is what Hansi had to say. I don't know if he's underrated in the press. For me, he's a very important player. That's my opinion. I can't control the outside world, but I can say that he is a professional from head to toe, and he always gives his all. Now, of course, Hansi Flick defending his player. He's not going to come out in a press conference and say, Frankie de Jong sucks. But I think we've all seen Frankie de Jong's form. He is not up to par. He is not giving his all. He's been making some pretty horrendous mistakes, and his intensity has also been very low. He's been very inconsistent throughout his whole career. If this was like a first-time thing, I would say, okay, that's fine. Frankie just came back from injury. He hasn't played for 6 months. I understand that he's not at the top of his form or at his peak, but this is something we've been seeing for years. Frankie de Jong has been at the club for years. He's been incredibly inconsistent, and at this point, I honestly have nothing to say in his defense. I don't think he's defendable anymore. But anyways, that's Flick's opinion, because of course he's not gonna attack his own player. And now Hansi Flick was asked about Lewandowski and whether Barcelona are dependent on him for scoring goals. And this is what Flick had to say. Both. We need Robert, but he also needs the team. No one can win alone. They both benefit from this relationship. He has a lot of quality, but so does the team. It's very important. So again, another stupid question for Hansi Flick. Is Barcelona dependent on its striker to score goals? Well, I don't know. Is Barcelona dependent on its goalkeeper to stop shots? Anyways, again, I think sometimes these reporters just want to tick a box and say, I asked my question, I don't care what it is. Now I get to go home and earn my paycheck. Anyways, that is all the highlights of the pre-match press conference of Hansi Flick. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, be Barça.